expenses. All right, turning now to the deficit. The numbers are in, and the 2012 budget deficit is actually slightly better than expected. It was only $1.089 trillion versus the $1.1 trillion estimate. What a deal! Well, it's still a deficit of more than $1 for every year that President Obama has been in office. Let's crunch the numbers and see what they mean for the average taxpayer. Joining me now is Gretchen Hamel from the Public Notice. Thank you so much for coming back on the program. You know, it's a staggering number. I guess it's not as horrible as it could have been. I don't know. How would you characterize it?
Well, I think it's still pretty bad. You have 4 straight years of having a $1 trillion deficit. 42 out of the 44 months the president has been in office, he has run a deficit. And I think right now, when we're $16 trillion in debt, it has an effect on the economy. Even most economists say that when the debt is greater than 90% of the GDP, you start to see a slowing. And right now, our debt is over 100% of our GDP.
Okay, well, let's break down why you see that slowing, because I think when we talk about these numbers to the average person, it sounds like monopoly money. I mean, it's just such a huge number, you could never pay it back. If you break it down, you know, it's about $3,500 per person, $3,468 to be exact. During the time that President Obama has been up, he has racked up $16,207 in your name. Why does it slow down the economy, though, to owe all this money? Because, you know, it just seems like we're writing IOUs. Who cares?
Well, it's because the uncertainty it creates. Most businesses know that at some point, government will come knocking at their doors asking for them to pay and for them to bear the burden of the government and Congresses and the president's bad decisions on overspending. So that's really why you see the shrinking of the economy, or this kind of stalling and the slogging of the economy, because of the uncertainty that comes along with having this much debt.
Yeah,
and not only that,
I don't know, but it's not like the government's going to stop paying its bills. I mean, in economics class, I was taught that it crowds out private borrowing, that when you have the public, the government in there, and they're issuing all this debt and they're borrowing money from China, that it's absorbing money that companies could be borrowing to make investments and hire workers. But I don't know, is that economic theory or is that real?
I think that's real. I think that's what we're seeing right now, is that the government is having to borrow so much money that it makes it harder. And I think the average American out there who has tried to purchase a home, who has tried to purchase a car, can tell you the past few years it's been tough to do that. And over the course of the next 5 years, we will pay $1.5 trillion in just interest on our debt alone. And I think most Americans know that have a credit card that that's just like pouring money down a toilet.
Yeah, you know, we sort of tried to break it down into things that everybody could understand. We could buy 21 million Mercedes-Benz E-Class for what we owe. We could buy 2.1 million iPads. That was a good one. Or 30 billion Big Macs, which I really love the Big Macs sort of as much as anyone out there, but I don't know if I need 30 billion of them. What does it mean that you know, Governor Romney tried to give the example that we shouldn't do anything that we don't want to borrow money from China for, that we shouldn't spend any money we don't want to go borrow. Does it matter that we're borrowing all this money from China? Does it make them more powerful?
It does. I think that's something that we should all have a concern about, is how much we are borrowing money from other foreign nations, and it kind of affects American pride. We don't want to be beholden to any one nation, and we especially don't want to be beholden to nations that could, you know, ask for their debt back or their payment back, or, you know, exude power over us. We don't want that, and I think as Americans, we're always used to being on top of the world, on top of the game, having the world leader, and being a leader in the world, having the best world economy. And so it kind of puts us in a vulnerable state. And I don't think any American likes that. We want to be back on top, and we want to be prideful of our nation.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to take a long time to pay all that money back. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.